almost like the schools, I felt like the schools were starting to hold the teachers and coaches accountable for maybe teaching some of the skills that should be taught at home and brought in. And, you know, Nick and I are trying to go, you know, most coaches are going, okay, let's do strength and conditioning. Our take on it was, no, let's build a person. Yeah. You know, how are we going to build this person? How are we going to teach character? How are we going to teach leadership? What are these 4 cornerstone things is going to take us to be a success during the course of the season? Love, humility, commitment, and responsibility. Humility is huge with a high school male athlete, especially with the diversity we have in the way homes are set up. You know, and it's hard to swallow your pride sometimes and ask for help.
Coached, right?
And I think this is this has probably been the hardest sell to my kids since I've been here, but I think it's made the biggest difference in our success. We've been through a lot since we've been here. I've lost a player. You know, I had a player pass away. We had to get through that. Car wrecks. It just feels like the first 2 years we came up against so many challenges that had nothing to do with playing the game of football, and we could always fall back on, you know, love, humility, commitment, and responsibility to kind of pull us back together. Right. You know, and it gives me chills when I think about it. Bring my principal in here if you don't mind, just to tell you how what we've done has changed the complexion with discipline and things like that in the building. You know, I was told that before I came here, they had problems with racial issues on the football team because one side of the district is growing very fast and they're putting up homes and apartment complexes, so the dynamics of the district is changing. And then on the other side, you have the older farm community, and I was told there was racial tension before I come in. You know, James Ward, who now is going to Dayton and will probably be their starting safety, so one of the biggest changes for him was there was none of that. He didn't have to. There was none of the racial tension stuff, you know, within the football team and within the locker room. Stuff is even more impactful at a small school, I think. You have more guys that have to be able to do multiple things. Yeah. I believe in the weight room and I believe in the strength training, but it comes down to building that person and getting them the confidence to believe in themselves too. I think is important, but having been other places and not had the same kind of success that we're having here, I can tell you what the X factor is. If you don't have that on your football team, you're not going to be successful. And I'm going to tell you, we have some kids who are outstanding athletes, and we have some kids that are as strong as an ox. But we won a football game last year. We put up close to 400 yards rushing against a high school that we played with our 5th string running back in the backfield, and we didn't miss a beat because they trusted them. Yeah. And those kids had been presented with an opportunity, and they didn't want to let their teammates down. Now, that doesn't have to do with how fast someone is or how much weight they can lift. That has to do with, I love you and I trust you. You know, there's a young man that's graduating as a senior this year. When he came as a sophomore my first year, I think it was all too much for him. He didn't buy what I was selling and stepped back and walked away. And players that had stayed with me talked him into coming out as a senior. And, you know, he ended up going from a kid that everybody said was going to drop out, he was going to end up in jail, to a kid that finished the league as one of the best offensive linemen in the league, is going to play in the All-Star game, and is probably going to end up going to college. Not to play football, which I think is even better. Teaching character development, teaching leadership, you know, giving some kids some core ethical values to hang their hat on, that when they leave here, they're leaving not just as good athletes, but also as better people. You know, what they do on the field, that's going to last for 4 years. I think what they learn off the field, that's going to last them a lifetime. I think a lot of times we ask young men to be leaders, we ask them to be captains, but we don't take the time to teach them the skills they need to be leaders and captains. And this program has allowed me to do that. It's allowed me to teach leadership skills that they're going to need not only as their team captain, but as a father someday, as a husband, and as an employee.